Welcome. Today we're going to be going over something I haven't seen a lot of videos on YouTube going over. I don't know how many of you know this, but there's currently two fully operational space stations in orbit. The ISS and then the Chinese one, which I'm not 100% sure of the name, so let me look it up. The Tiangong Space Station, which means Tangyong, Heavenly Palace. Which wasn't launched that long ago. I think in 2022 is when it was first launched. The ISS has been up for like 20-something years. But what we're going to be going over is abandoned space stations. There's not a lot of videos on YouTube about it, even though the company did post videos from the space stations when they were still operational. They never had humans on board, but it was test missions and they had cameras and experiments and stuff on it. Yes. Today we'll be going over the abandoned space stations that are still in orbit as of 2025. For my research, there are only two abandoned space stations still in orbit. They are called Genesis 1 and Genesis 2. These space stations were built by Bigelow Aerospace, and if you haven't heard of them, it's because they are no longer around. The goal of the company was to build multiple Genesis 1 space stations and string them together to help promote space tourism. They were going to build them for like hotels. The stations were built from Kevlar sheets, similar to the material used in bulletproof vests. Sorry if I keep looking away, I'm reading the script. The stations were made, and they were made to inflate into a tube shape with solar panels on both ends. They would be lightweight and take up a very small amount of space compared to other space station modules. On July 12th of 2006, Genesis 1 was launched into orbit on board a Roundup rocket. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. It was a Russian rocket. But when it launched, it became the world's first private space station. The Roundup, Russian-built and converted from an ICBM called R-36M, and the Roundup is no longer in service. The goal of Genesis 1 was to test the technology for the company's upcoming space hotel. Genesis 1 operated for 2.5 years before losing contact. Genesis 1 does not have propulsion system, so it can't be deorbited intentionally, and is expected to re-enter on its own within a decade. Genesis 2 launched on a Roundup rocket as well on the 28th of June 2007 and would be in contact for 2.5 years as well. Genesis 2 had some upgrades and bigger plans than its older sister because they had some life science experiments on board, such as ants, scorpions, and Madagascar hissing cockroaches. They also had some pictures and other small things inside from people that worked at the company. And for some reason, they even had a projector on the outside of the space station where they would project pictures of people that used to work for them. And if you ask me, it's kind of creepy just seeing this with the blackness of space behind it. It's just eerie. It's kind of like something from like a horror movie. And that's what I originally saw. I was scrolling on Twitter one day and this popped up and I was like, this is actually quite interesting. So I did some research, found out more stuff about it, and that's what got me interested in doing research for this channel of stuff that there's not a lot of information on, so people could so they can get this information somehow. Genesis 2 did have upgraded avionics, but it still didn't have a propulsion system on board, and will also deorbit within a decade. And like I said at the beginning of the video, they are both still in orbit, and since there's no plan to use them in the future, since they are pretty much useless, they will just be waiting for the inevitable death once they are dragged too low towards the atmosphere where they will burn up. This video is probably going to be like 3 minutes long, but there's not a lot of information on these. We'll be putting some images and videos that I have found. You could still go to Bigelow Aerospace's YouTube channel, I believe, as of recording, and you could watch some of the videos. They have quite a bit. I think they even have the launch on there, if I recall correctly. I wrote this script in January of 2025, and it is December. I wrote it on January 8th, 2025, and it is December 28th. because I was debating whether or not I was even going to make this channel. Because I got other channels, and this one, I have to do a lot of research. It's not hard, it's just tedious, because I want to make sure I got everything right. There'll be a new video out next week, which will be about lesser known extinct animals. Well guys, make sure to like and subscribe. Welcome to Unhinged Facts Episode 2. Today we're going to be going over some lesser known extinct animals from around the world. First, the Irish elk. Or however you pronounce this. I'll put it on screen because I'm not gonna say it. Also called the Irish deer, or sometimes the giant deer. It was one of the largest deer to ever live. It lived across Eurasia during the Pleistocene, from Ireland to Lake Baikal in Siberia. The most recent remains have been found to have been from roughly 7,700 years ago in western Russia. The Irish elk could grow to around 8 feet long and weigh from 500 to 1,500 pounds. And its antlers could grow to reach up to 11 feet long. Although it is called the Irish elk, it is most closely related to the fallow deer, which I don't know. I think that's a common deer. Number 2. Now we're going to move on to the American cheetah, which, like most people, I didn't know there was a cheetah that ever lived in the Americas. But yeah, most of you probably didn't know there was a cheetah that lived in North America. I didn't until I was doing research for this video. But anyways, it lived in the Pleistocene era and roamed North America. It was originally known from fragments of skeletons, but nearly complete skeletons have been recovered from natural trap cave in northern Wyoming. They could grow to around 5 feet long and weigh around 150 to 200 pounds, which isn't very big. I'm pretty sure there's dogs that get about that size, so that's not that big. You could fight one of these off if it attacked you. It would probably kill you because it probably had razor-sharp claws. Fossils from Arizona show that the American cheetahs were territorial animals. It is also believed to have hunted the Tarahumara and Stockorios, which are both extinct animals. I'll put some images on the screen now so you can see what those look like. The American cheetah went extinct towards the end of the last ice age, so they've been dead a while. Moving on to my favorite thing in today's video, the elephant bird, which went extinct around the 17th century, likely as a result of human activity. The elephant bird could grow up to 9.8 feet tall and was also flightless and lived in Madagascar. The closest living relative of the elephant bird is the New Zealand kiwi, which can grow from 14 to 18 inches and weigh around 4 pounds. It's insane to think that these are closely related to each other. The elephant bird is also related to many other flightless birds, such as the great rhea, which is native to South America, and the ostrich, as well as the southern cassowary and emu. The elephant bird's eggs could get as long as 15 inches, which is about the size of the kiwi, which is its closest living relative. The egg is the same size as its closest living relative. That is insane. Could you imagine going to a zoo and seeing one of these monstrous birds in modern times? Almost 10 feet tall. Now moving on to the cave lion. It once lived all the way from Eurasia to northwest North America during the Pleistocene, and is believed to have gone extinct around 13,000 years ago. The cave lion had similar fur to modern-day lions, except the male lions didn't have manes. The cave lion is widely believed to have been solitary, unlike modern lions, which live in prides. One reason they are believed to be solitary is because they lack manes, which is a big part of modern lion hierarchy. This is also one of the few big cat species that lived in England. So if you didn't know, there was lions that lived in England at one point. And now on to our last subject for today, camelops. It is sometimes also called the western camel. The western camel lived anywhere from 3 to 4 million years ago and went extinct around 13 to 12,000 years ago. Humans are believed to have played a part in their extinction, which is the case for most of these animals on this list, like elephant, bird, I think the elk. I think we humans kill basically anything we come in contact with, so a lot of extinct animals are our fault. They lived in North America from Kansas all the way to Alaska. The camelops was quite tall, reaching over 7 feet tall at its shoulders, which is about the same size as a modern-day camel. That's it for this week's episode of Unhinged Facts. Next week we'll be going over the dead internet theory. If that sounds interesting to you, make sure to like and subscribe. Today we're going to be going over the dead internet theory. I originally came up with this idea for this video after I heard that Meta/Facebook just started making AI like accounts that were posing as real people. I heard about this a while ago. So the dead internet theory is a conspiracy theory that popped up around 2021. That's when it started taking off anyways. Becoming a very well-known conspiracy theory on the internet. For most people that have been on the internet a decent amount probably would have heard of this conspiracy theory. So according to the theory, the internet died around 2016 to 2017. Most content uploaded on the internet, according to this theory, is automatically generated by bots and designed to manipulate people and to limit like natural human interaction. Some believers of this theory believe that the government is involved with this and using the bots to like curate a special like content towards people, manipulate the human population. In the original post about the dead internet theory, it goes to say that Google and other search engines are involved in censoring the web by filtering any content that isn't desirable. One example is that Google will say that there is millions of results for a given topic and only lets you see 10 or 15 will show up out of the said millions. The dead internet theory suggests that this is part of the conspiracy theory to limit users to curated and potentially artificial content online. So yeah, like sometimes when you look up stuff on Google, it'll say there's like 150,000 stuff like that possible search results, and then you keep going through and through, and then after like the 4th page it's like, hey, we got another more, but clearly you didn't go through 140,000 links or anything. But now let's get on to the evidence for these claims. Generative pre-trained transforms, such as GPTs, are a class of large language models that employ artificial neural networks to produce human-like content. The first of these to be well known was developed by OpenAI. These models have created significant controversy. For example, Timothy Shope of the Copenhagen Institute for Futures Studies said in 2022, in the scenario where GPT-3 gets loose, the internet would be completely unrecognizable, according to him. He predicted that in such a scenario, 9% to 99.9% of content online might be AI generated by 2025 to 2030. These predictions have been used as evidence for the dead internet theory. That's not really evidence. That's just a theory. In 2024, Google reported that its search results were inundated with websites that they say feel like they were created for search engines instead of people. In correspondence with Gizmodo, a Google spokesperson acknowledged the role of generative AI and the rapid proliferation of anticipated to increase the amount of spam, run the risk of creating situations where bots interact with each other, create self-replicating prompts that result in loops only human users could disrupt. In 2016, the security firm Imperva released a report on bot traffic and found that automated programs were responsible for 52% of web traffic. This isn't a very long video, but I felt like that was something kind of interesting to talk about. I'm usually not a big fan of conspiracy theories, But I thought this one was, personally, I thought this one was pretty interesting.